in a felonious assault against a Detroit police officer.
Police now have 2 suspects in custody, a man and a woman. The woman in custody is the aunt of the little girl murdered.
We have information that the mother and her siblings, her sisters, had been involved in an ongoing dispute.
Now, how could this happen? What would lead a sister to allegedly target her sister and her niece? Police are not releasing details as to motive as they've worked on their investigation, but they are saying they did find heroin at the house they raided. In the meantime, family members, they're trying to come to grips with this devastating situation. 7 Action News reporter Simon Chowdhury spoke to relatives and has this.
Grief and anger surround family and friends after 2 relatives were shot dead, including 5-year-old Isabella Coleman. Her mother fighting for her life right now after being shot at least 16 times. And Isabella's aunt is considered one of 2 suspects. But for the driver family here on Evergreen, they can't understand why police shot a 46-year-old father of 2 who they say had nothing to do with the shooting last night.
They killed my brother, that's what happened. The police killed my brother.
Daryl Driver and other relatives are reeling from the events that took place overnight. They were home on Evergreen near Cathedral early Friday morning after a horrific night. Daryl is the stepfather of Deja Coleman, who was shot at least 16 times, and the step-grandfather to Isabella.
I just lost a 5-year-old grandchild.
His brother, Dietrich Driver, was sleeping on the couch when police sent a special response team to execute a search warrant at the home on Evergreen, breaking down the door and using a flashbang.
My cousin was laying on the couch, and in this neighborhood, if somebody comes through your door, you automatically grab the closest thing to you.
Police say Dietrich had an AR pistol in his hands when an officer fired shots several times, killing him.
I saw my brother laying there. Just laying there.
Family members say police did not do a good enough job expressing who they were and what they wanted. They also do not believe Dietrich pointed the weapon at police. During the search, police arrested Isabella's aunt. While the details of the past 24 hours are difficult to digest for the family, they just don't understand why police fatally shot Dietrich.
This is ridiculous. They're the police. They're supposed to be better than this.
Dietrich Driver leaves behind 2 sons, ages 12 and 9. And even though Isabella's aunt is considered a suspect, police say she is not the one that pulled the trigger. But that does not make it any easier for the Driver or Coleman families as they mourn 2 losses. In Detroit's West Side, Simon Chowdhury, 7 Action News.
It's devastating. Simon, thank you. We're going to turn now to Florence, and it's just been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's still wreaking havoc on the Carolinas right now. So far, at least 4 people have died,
including a mother and her baby killed when a tree fell on their home in Wilmington, North Carolina. Take a live look at Burlington, cloudy and rainy. More than 500,000 people are without power in that state. The hurricane blew ashore this morning as a Category 1 storm, causing massive flooding.
But don't let the fact that Florence is now a tropical storm fool you. It is incredibly dangerous. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has a look at the effects of Florence.
Florence weakening, but the threat still intensifying. This massive storm moving slowly, dumping life-threatening amounts of rain.
Oh gosh, it's like a bombs have gone off here. There's a lot of water.
Hundreds of people rescued from rising floodwaters in New Bern, North Carolina.
I've never seen this kind of damage here.
Powerful sustained winds and gusts up to 105 miles an hour, damaging businesses, sending this branch into Ben Selby's bedroom.
Okay, heart beating 100 miles an hour, but and the creek is up to the house. So anyway, whoo, baby.
This tree falling on a home in Wilmington, killing a mother and infant inside. First responders pausing to pray.
Well, it's tough. You know, they've been out here a good little while trying to rescue this one person.
Debris whipping through streets.
I'm okay.
The storm prompting tornado watches.
If you're in Tarboro right now, you need to take shelter immediately.
Along the Outer Banks, storm surge inundating homes, and inland, the threat of devastating flash flooding just beginning.
There is a high probability this will become a mandatory evacuation order within the next 24 hours.
And while the wind and rain have died down significantly here, the threat is still far from over. Tropical storm force conditions are expected to continue through tomorrow, and the rain isn't expected to let up until Sunday. Even then, the threat of flooding will continue. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Wilmington, North Carolina.
So let's turn to meteorologist Hallie Vogel in the Weather Center tracking Florence right now.
Hallie, this storm could continue to wreak havoc for days?
Absolutely, and that's the thing. We always hear about when is it going to make landfall, but the effects long before landfall is made and long after too continue right through the weekend into early next week. And that's the immediate threat. Of course, the cleanup efforts likely for weeks ahead. So as we look into the weekend, damaging winds, the tornado threat will continue along the Carolina coast from Moorhead to Myrtle Beach all the way down toward Charleston. Historic rainfall. We've been talking about the rainfall amounts. This is radar estimating the past 24 hours up to about 15 inches of rain. Some areas in North Carolina have already received over 20 inches of rain. 20 to 30 could be widespread, with 40 inches possible in some localized areas. These are current wind gusts, so we're up to 63 in Fayetteville, near 50 in Myrtle Beach, and these tropical force winds will continue through Sunday as well. It's a slow mover. We've been talking about it. That's where the threat comes for, of course, the catastrophic historic rainfall to continue through the weekend. As it continues its journey to the north, it'll still bring that rainfall threat all the way to the northeast, and we also may see a little bit of the effects early next week. More in your 7-day.
All right, Hallie, thanks. We're continuing to stay on top of Florence and track the storm's every move. Stay with us on air, online as well at WXYZ.com for the very latest. Following breaking news in Waterford, police say a woman called 911 saying she just killed her husband.
Investigators arrived at the home on Meadowwood and found the man dead in the backyard. They did take his wife into custody. We're also told a gun was recovered at the scene. Their young son, who was home at the time, was not hurt and is now staying with family members, we're told. We have crews on the scene. A live report is just ahead.
Wrong side of the law. The Detroit cops linked to a Corktown bar brawl have their day in court. How they're defending the brutal beatdown.
And paid caregivers get duped into giving a man a sponge bath who didn't need help at all. How else this creepy con artist allegedly took advantage of the hired help.
And coming up next, Henrik Zetterberg is done playing hockey. The Red Wings captain showed up to training camp to announce he's hanging up the skates. Brad Galley takes a look back at his career and shares Zetterberg's emotional response.
Hockeytown suffering a big blow today as the Red Wings are moving on without their captain.
Now, the team announcing that Henrik Zetterberg is not healthy enough to continue playing pro hockey. Brad Galley explains why and looks at the accomplishments of one amazing player.
Henrik Zetterberg is done playing hockey. An announcement from his GM, no organized fanfare, done. Just like that. We knew this day was coming. The Red Wings knew this day was coming. Henrik himself knew this day was coming better than anyone. Yet today it's a quiet end to a legendary and impactful career.
Henrik has decided that his quality of life is more important than taking the risk of a back surgery. He's got a degenerative condition in his back. No back surgery, no rehab, no more time off is going to have any positive impact.
Henrik Zetterberg made the trip to Traverse City to be with his teammates for the open of training camp. But for the first time since 2002, they'll hit the ice without him.
Obviously, it is emotional. You know, it's been I don't know, 15 years here, and even though I knew that I was on my last couple of years, I wish that I could play a little bit longer.
In January, the Red Wings captain stopped practicing, but in that time, he played every game. In fact, Zetterberg didn't miss a game in the last 3 years combined. The 2008 Conn Smythe winner, Zetterberg had the scoring touch to put up more points.
Zetterberg scores! Game over!
He had a valuable two-way game and playmaking ability that led him to become one of 3 Wings captains in a 32-year span.
I didn't see myself last this long, probably. You know, when I got drafted back in, I don't know, 99 as a 7th round pick, and it's kind of surreal, you know, standing here.
Zetterberg wouldn't have wanted a season-long retirement send-off, but he deserved one. We've been lucky to see some truly great ones in this town. Henrik Zetterberg is absolutely among them.
As Brad mentioned, Zetterberg gave the Red Wings fans 1,082 games, 337 goals, 623 assists. So with that, we say thanks for the memories, Captain. Look forward to seeing what comes next for him. But often a quiet guy, but so effective and just full of class.
Yeah, we enjoyed having him, and we wish him the best in his retirement. All right, a little sunshine.
Yeah, we've been talking about, I know we've been talking about Hurricane Florence, but locally here, it's been a pretty nice day, right? You like the late summer heat? We're holding on, aren't we? 83 the high today. So we did it. We're at least looking at temperatures above average as the, of course, working our way into the last full weekend of summer. 83 the high, 66 the low. We look at our averages. 75 is what we average now for a high. So we're doing pretty good if you like a little bit of warmth. And we're at our high right now. So 83 degrees downtown. Look at all that sunshine to the west in Ann Arbor. 80, 81 in Jackson, Adrian. So we're in good shape for a really nice evening. And our temperatures are certainly warmer than yesterday at this time. As a matter of fact, the warmest we've seen all week. We hadn't really broken that 80-degree mark until today, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the rest of the afternoon into the evening. I should say more or less the evening. Looking at light winds, a north to northeast wind only 5 overnight, and we're going to keep some of that late day sunshine around and a partly cloudy sky tonight. One thing we have been fighting for recent days, the fog overnight. So we do think that's going to happen again tonight with that partly cloudy sky, the warm temperatures and the light wind. By 8 o'clock, temperatures still in the mid 70s, upper 60s for lows tonight. That's pretty warm. Taking a look at where right now Tropical Storm Florence is, downgraded as far as the winds along the eye, but certainly the same storm bringing the heavy rainfall, 20 to 30 inches of rain, historic rainfall in fact, and it's such a slow mover. It'll affect the East Coast right through the weekend before it decides to take a little bit of a turn off to the north early next week. But since we are so far north, not feeling the effects right now, do have just a slight chance for maybe a shower early next week, something we'll be adjusting depending on the path. But this is already into tomorrow afternoon, so still the threat for tornadoes, the historic and rainfall, and the storm surge continues through the weekend. And then as we go into early next week, it'll start to move into areas like eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, through West Virginia, and then eventually into the northeast. As it moves into the northeast, that's when we'll start at least paying a little bit more attention how close it is to us. 67 the low tonight, partly cloudy, that fog possible, and then temperatures tomorrow, we're right back into it, low 80s for highs. 84 muggy on Sunday. If you want a little cooler weather, how about Wednesday? We break the heat, we stay dry, and temperatures in the mid 70s.
Looking good, Hallie. Thank you. Still to come on Action News at 5, disturbing new allegations against U.S. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. What we know about the woman behind the controversial claims.
And a warning for anyone who attended the Renaissance Festival. The amount of people exposed to Hep A could be a lot more than originally thought. Who needs to get vaccinated and where to get it done.
Coming up, all new at 6.
He has called America his home for more than 30 years. Now this deaf man from Detroit is facing deportation to Nigeria. I'm Andrea Isom. How government is stepping in to try to keep him in the land he loves, and why those who know him say deportation would destroy him.
We have a health alert tonight. Anyone who visited Michigan's Renaissance Festival is urged to get hepatitis A vaccine right away.
The Oakland County Health Department says someone with the infection attended the event on September 1st. Anyone who visited the Renaissance Festival on that day must receive vaccination by tomorrow in order to be protected. And people who were there on the 2nd have until Sunday. And Monday, if you were at the festival, September 3rd is the deadline.
Symptoms may appear 14 to 50 days after exposure, so you have to keep an eye out for symptoms like fatigue, abdominal pain, nausea, and yellowing of the skin or eyes. A school crossing guard arrested in a bizarre crime.
Police say the man pretended to have Down syndrome and hired caregivers to bathe him and change his diapers. He's Paul Menchaca of Gilbert, Arizona. The accusers say he talked and acted like a child, but when it came time to be changed or washed, he would become sexually aroused.
He would just be clapping, he would be smiling, or he would be talking to us when we were changing his diaper.
Another caregiver says the Menchaca she met pretended to have a traumatic brain injury.
He did ask me a few times to come over and help him shower, but I wasn't incredibly comfortable with that.
One of the 3 caregivers became suspicious and followed Menchaca to his real home, where they confronted his parents and learned their son did not have Down syndrome or need diapers at all. and instead that Menchaca had a weird fetish.
I'm glad I never showered him, and he's going to get what, he deserves for fooling everybody like this.
The victims say they confronted Menchaca, who admitted he lied to them. He's now charged with fraudulent schemes and sex abuse.
All new at 5:30. Wrong side of the law. The Detroit cops linked to a Corktown bar brawl have their day in court. How they're defending the brutal beatdown.
Under fire. President Trump's Supreme Court nominee denying allegations of sexual misconduct. The woman accusing Brett Kavanaugh of assault, plus his reaction to the controversial claim.
Parking ticket trouble.
There's no such thing as a free lunch or free parking. But one city council person here in Detroit wants to give you a discount on your parking violations. I'll have those details coming up.
Taking action for you. 7 Action News at 5:30 starts right now.
Well, 2 Detroit police officers accused of stealing a patron at a Corktown bar. Well, they were back in court today, and in court we got a security video from inside the Attendee on March 11th.
7 Action News reporter Brian Abel live in the newsroom, and the video shows an altercation before Mike Karpovich is allegedly thrown to the ground by Commander Tim Leach. Brian?
Yeah, that's correct. The video, it's not very clear, but clear enough to see 2 men arguing in the bottom left of the screen. Here is what was shown today in court. Take a look. 2 men, both with hats, who appear to be arguing right in that bottom left corner of your screen. One man grabs the other and starts heading toward the exit. But as they make their turn, you can see right there the commotion and what looks to be someone thrown on the ground, then the reaction from people inside the bar. Moments later, you see what appears to be someone dragging the person on the ground. Now, on the stand today was a witness and part of the security team, Gregory Eugene.